Welcome to my backyard. Today I'm going to share with you the incredible man named Mark Munoz. Big, strong, powerful, but kind as they come. A man of God, a man of action, a man of power, a man who gets things done. Join me for Lessons in Winning with my good friend, Mark Munoz. Mark Munoz, good to see you, brother.
Thank you, Ken.
Been a while?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Not a long time, been a short time.
Short time, but I remember the first time we met at that Japanese restaurant with Jake Ellenberger in Morgan, and that was a meeting where should we do some work together or not, right? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember Morgan saying, hey, this guy's awesome, Jake's using him, and he said, he's a mental coach, and I'm thinking, do you think I'm a mental midget or something? Or I'm just like, what? Do you think I need one? But I'm thankful that I met you because I learned so much. And the thing is for you to be able to give your knowledge and expertise to me, it's, I've used it, and it's benefited me greatly.
Awesome. Now, you went to school at Oklahoma State.
I did.
And you also have a background in sports psychology, correct?
I do. So I went to school at Oklahoma State, and I got my bachelor's of science in kinesiology, which is what over there is called health promotion. And then I actually went to got a job at UC Davis, and there I was getting my master's in sports psychology.
Okay, nice.
And then from there I met Uriah Faber, and he was like, hey, you need to get into fighting. I'm like, no, man, can't do it. But he got me into it, and I fought, and all I had to do was my thesis, and I didn't get my master's. So it was just
so close. Well, you got a goal for the future, right?
Yes,
yes. Obviously what you're doing is working.
Yeah.
Your son, Trey, is crushing people right now in the state of California.
Yes.
He's going to go to Arizona State next year.
Yes.
Now, I remember you were so proud. We were doing a session at your training lab back in the day, and you said with a big smile on your face, Trey's giving up baseball to be a wrestler. He says, Dad, I want to follow in your footsteps. How did that make you feel?
Oh, man, the sense of pride, the sense of just the comfort and for the trust that he had in me, because I'm like, buddy, why do you want to quit soccer and baseball and wrestle? Wrestling's a hard sport. Even his mom was like, Trey, you don't want to wrestle. Wrestling is tough. Look at these ears, boy. I know, wrestling's tough. You got to cut weight. You're not going to eat. He's like, I want to do it because I love it. And we always taught our kids, you got to do what you love and love what you do, right? So he's like that, Mom, Dad, I want to wrestle. And when he said that, I was like, oh my goodness. I said, babe, don't try to stir him otherwise. He wants to do it. And I said, Trey, what are your goals? And he says, Dad, I want to be a state champion. I want to get a full ride scholarship. I was like, what, Division I? He goes, yes, Division I. I said, there's 72 schools that offer scholarships. Not all of them give full ride scholarships. What makes you think out of the tens of thousands of kids or wrestlers that you train, Munoz is going to get a full ride scholarship? Without batting an eye, he looks me dead in the face. He goes, I got you, Dad. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
How cool is that? That is so awesome.
6 weeks later, I'm like, I'm done. I'm retiring. I want to be there for my son, and that's how it was. I retired, and now 4.5 years later, we're here, and he's getting a full ride scholarship. He's going to Arizona State, and my daughter now is grown and matured, and she's in Hawaii studying to be a missionary. She's on a counseling track with Youth with a Mission called YWAM organization, and it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing adventure, and I wouldn't take it back at all.
It's a great story. Mark is one of those guys, nice as can be, vicious when he needs to be, great father, great husband, great all-around guy. And there's a reason for that. His parents did a really nice job.
They did.
He taught him early on about lessons in winning. So
that's right.
Go back to your early years as an athlete. What was the first sport you remember playing?
I remember running into the playground and playing basketball. I just loved playing basketball, and I'd run, grab a basketball, and start grabbing the first basketball hoop I can go to. So, and I was actually pretty good in basketball. You know, I wanted to play basketball, but got into wrestling, and wrestling was the same season. I love wrestling more. So,
And now you played a little football too, right?
I played football since I was in third grade. Yeah,
Wow.
and so, but I broke my ankle, and as a sophomore, and I couldn't play football anymore because I broke it. I broke the talus and the calcaneus, and I broke the tib and the fib.
Jeez, that's a break.
It's a break.
You did it right,
So
brother.
I did it. I fell.
Jeez.
I fell 8 feet into a ditch, and someone fell on top of me. So I did a number on my ankle, and they said, "Well, you know, you probably don't want to play football anymore." So that's when I focused on wrestling, and you know, and then the rest is history. I ended up, you know, started wrestling in the 8th grade, and then became a 2-time state champ, high school national champ, and you know, I go to
So a state
State.
champ and
Yeah.
a high school national champ.
Yeah.
Now, also, you played a little beach volleyball too, didn't you?
I did,
He's
yeah.
pretty good. Look at the
Yeah.
body on this guy. Look at the
Yeah.
size of this beast.
Yeah.
And he played beach volleyball. He was
did.
good. Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so in Vallejo, we played every weekend. We would set up nets at a park and play doubles volleyball. And my partner is Jeff Cooper, and he was a lefty and I was a righty, so it's perfect, you know. So we'd hit on our strong sides every time, you know. And so we would play tournaments, and we'd play in tournaments, doubles tournaments, grass, and sometimes we play on the sand, but mostly it was grass tournaments, and we played tournaments, and we won an A tournament, so we're double A, so that means we're semi-pro.
That's
you know?
not easy
Yeah.
to do, let me tell
Yeah,
you.
so we won an A tournament, and it was awesome. It was great. And every time I would come home from wrestling practice, I would either play basketball or volleyball.
So let me ask you this question, Mark. So you played basketball, volleyball, you wrestled, you played football.
Yeah.
In those early years, what are the main lessons you learned as a young athlete that caused you to become a winner?
You know, as I played all those sports, I basically felt that I always worked hard, and working hard was instilled in me since I was a little kid, and I thank my parents for that. But working hard towards a goal in order to become better was the key. So in order to become better, you gotta find out what you're doing wrong, you know. And so what you're doing wrong, you gotta make right.
So lessons in losing, right?
Lessons in losing.
Yeah.
So my coaches always told me you learn more than a loss than you would in a win, because you got to correct the things right away, you know. But then the coaches said the wise athlete learns from his wins as well, and so that was huge for me, because
Yeah.
even in my wins, I wanted to learn as much as I could, because in the losses, yes, you learn, but when you win, you got to break down your film and watch what you're doing wrong so you can make right and make it better when you step on the mat. I always talk about getting 1% better
Yep.
every day.
Little at
you
a
know?
time, right?
Little
So
at
now,
a time.
so here you are. You're this well-rounded athlete. You've got great parental upbringing, and now you go to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
You're going to Oklahoma to be a cowboy. Tell me about that experience, Mark.
Oh man. So yeah, I was getting the whole recruiting process in high school. You go to 5 schools, or you have the option to go to 5 schools. They paid for it, and you go there. And my recruiting visit to Oklahoma State was amazing. I got to meet the well-known coach and famous amateur wrestler John Smith.
Oh,
And,
John Smith, he is
yeah,
something.
Yeah, and he's 2-time Olympic champion, 6-time world champion, and arguably the best American wrestler in history. And I remember watching him, and I was shooting low single legs just like him and shooting high crotches. I was like, man, I want to be just like John Smith. And I read his book, How Low Can You Go? And I'm like, man, this is awesome, you know. And so I go there and come back home. I'm like, I want to go to Oklahoma State. And I was getting recruited by Nebraska, Michigan. I was getting recruited by Harvard, Stanford, a lot of the Ivy Leagues, and a lot of the top 10 wrestling schools in the nation. So I went to Oklahoma State, and I'm like, I want to go to Oklahoma State. And so I went there, and then all of a sudden it's time for me to leave home, leave the nest, and go to Oklahoma. And I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I leaving home? This is crazy. And I just, I'm on the plane and got all my bags, and my parents going to ship like 5 more boxes of my stuff to Oklahoma. And I land, and I get there, and I walk into the gate. To the baggage claim, and I see a guy with my name on a poster board, Munoz, and he's got a cowboy hat, tight Wrangler jeans, big belt buckle.
The typical cowboy.
Yeah, and he's got a flannel shirt and some cowboy boots on. I'm like, that's a real life cowboy. And I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. And he's spitting in this bottle, and he's got a big chunk of big something on his cheek. Yeah, and I'm like, oh okay. I said, sir, I walk up to him. I say, sir, I'm Mark Munoz. He goes, He spits in his bottle, and he goes, You Mark Munoz, huh? I go, yes, sir, I'm Mark Munoz. He goes, Munoz, huh? He goes, mind me asking, son, are you some type of Mexican? I'm like, some type of Mexican? Oh my gosh. I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I at? I said, no, sir, I'm Filipino. He goes, Filipino? You Filipino? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm mixed with a jalapeno and a Filipino. Like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And so he said, I'm fixing to take you to Stillwater. I'm like, fixing? What are you going to fix? Like, what are you fixing?
Different lingo, different language.
You're fixing to take me. So I said, oh my goodness. So he took me to Stillwater. I met John Smith again, and I was like, oh man, this is quite a bit different, And so, I went there, and that was my first impression of Oklahoma.
So let me ask you this: so you go there, you got this crazy, awesome cowboy story, and now you start wrestling.
Yeah.
When did you get your first win?
I didn't win my first match. It was probably a month in the competition that I got my first win.
And what about your first point, even getting your first point?
My first point in practice I didn't score a point in practice for 2 months.
Wow.
I mean, give you some perspective. I was the number 1 recruit coming out of the nation. Mm-hmm. I won state twice. I was a national champ. And I was able to travel around the world to wrestle, and I didn't score a single point for 2 months.
Wow. Now think about that. For young people listening, watching, for 2 months he doesn't score a point. Now talk about an ego check, huh?
Yeah.
So go on. Tell me about what happened after that. When did you start winning?
Yeah. So I started winning, and I noticed that when I was wrestling and we would wrestle. So this is the structure of practice. So in the beginning, we learned technique, and Coach John would bring us in. The freshmen would bring us in early to kind of go over technique, to get us like up to technically sound, coming in, learning their technique and everything. So we would come in early, and then we would learn as a whole with everybody there, technique and drilling, and then hard drilling, and then we would wrestle. And then every first match I would get a guy by the name of Pat Smith.
Pat Smith.
Pat Smith was the first 4-time NCAA Division I national champion.
Wow.
4-timer.
Welcome to college wrestling.
Oh my goodness. He gave it to me, man. Like, I didn't know wrestling until I wrestled that guy.
Wow.
And he would just pummel me. He would snap my head down, push my head into the mat, and I think he gave me like Madborns on my forehead because he was sliding my head so much.
No mercy on the freshman.
Yeah, I mean, he was like pushing me into the wall, snapping me down, pushing me into the showers because the shower's right next to the mat room. It was just like, oh my goodness, like where am I at? This is nuts, And so it was a whole different level. And I noticed that as the weeks would pass, that I would get better into hand fighting. And I noticed that I actually touched his leg. And I'm like, oh, man.
I touched
his leg. I mean, I'm telling you, I'd go back to my dorm room, and there was freshmen because we had to live in our dorm for the first year. And Pat Popolizio, who is the head coach at North Carolina State University, we would talk and we would say, "Hey, how'd you do today?" "Oh, I did bad." "Who'd you wrestle?" "I wrestled Pat Smith. He just pummeled me, man." He goes, "Oh yeah, I wrestled Mark Smith. He did the same to me." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
The Smith brothers, man.
Yeah, I mean, they just killed us, And so, but it made us better. And so, I remember I touched his leg and I was like, "Yeah," and I got so happy, but I just touched his leg. I didn't score, And so, and then a week later, I got around his leg, and then probably 2 or 3 weeks later, I got his leg up in my armpit, and then about another week later, I actually finished the takedown.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah.
So progressively, little things kept pushing you to keep going.
Yes.
You ended your career as a 2-time NCAA champion. How do you go from touching his leg to being a 2-time NCAA champion?
It's just that being able to work towards a goal, right? So being able to be tough enough to strive to get better every day in the room, because I'm telling you, my first year there, my first 2 months there, I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm seriously, I wanted to go home because I was in a place that was totally different from who I was, and getting beat up every day and on my own. I'm like, this is not the place for me. But I stuck it out, and I met lifelong friends there, and I still have a great relationship with Coach John and all the coaches that are over there at Oklahoma State, and it's just I learned so much, and I became a man.
Yeah.
Not just a great athlete, but I became a man there, and every day it was that striving to get better and not relenting, and not, even though I was getting discouraged, I would just kept trying harder, and I would get hard, and I would ask questions a lot. My freshman year, I'd ask questions, and Coach John would be like, "Munoz, just drill the dang move." I go, "But Coach, I don't understand it." He goes, "All right." Well, he'd break it down, and I think he's glad he showed me the technique, because
it worked out well, right?
For him. Yeah. So
now you have all this experience at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
You end up in the UFC, not by design. It just kind of happened, right? You got that encouragement to give it a try.
Yeah.
Your last fight. Oh, man.
Yeah.
You went out in style.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So, the whole me getting into MMA, I never thought I'd ever punch or kick somebody in the face for a living. I never thought I'd ever do that. But,
that's a different way to earn a living, brother.
Yeah, I never thought I'd do that, but I met a guy by the name of Uriah Faber, and he at UC Davis, and he was like, "Munoz should be really good at it," and he stayed on me for I'd say about 2 or 3 years, and he's like, "Munoz, you need to do it." I got into it, and he got me into it gradually. He taught me some jiu-jitsu, and I went to his gym, and I learned some mitt work and pad work, Muay Thai, and then all of a sudden I sparred with the greats. Randy Couture, Brandon Vera, Quinn Rampage Johnson, Frank Trigg, Tito Ortiz were all there, and I was able to spar with those guys. And Randy Couture sat me down. He says, "Hey, Munoz, you should get into it." And then Uriah slaps me in the chest. He goes, "See, bro, I told you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I get into it, and 10 months later, I was in the UFC, and then I had, just 8 years of awesome.
You were ranked as high as number 5.
Number 3, actually.
Number 3, wow, number 3.
I was a contender. and so weight cuts were pretty bad for me.
Okay, I watched this giant guy get down to 185 pounds, almost kill himself, and make it happen. Discipline, focus. He's got that something special. Now, something happened. Was it Berlin? Where Masasi, when you slipped?
Yeah.
He's got Masasi his navel on his shoulder. I'm at the octagon. Musasi's eyes are like saucers. I think the fight's going to be over. Mark goes to slam him, and his knee goes.
Yeah.
Instead of him on top of Musasi for the choke out, he lands on top. He can't move.
Yeah.
The canvas was like ice.
Yeah.
It was an old canvas, wasn't processed properly. It was literally like ice.
There's no logos, and so those logos are sticky, and you can be able to get some traction on it, but there was no logos on the mat, and so that's why I slipped, and I actually tore my MCL there.
Yeah, tore his MCL.
Second degree tear on my MCL, and I had him in the air, slammed him, and he fell on top of me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
It's like you couldn't get away.
And I couldn't push off my right leg because I was like, oh man. So
how did you come the big fight in Berlin, first fight in Germany? You're highly ranked. You're a contender, and now you had to come back from this major injury as an older guy who hates weight cuts anyway. How did you come back and have that great epic finish?
Yeah, I mean, I met with you a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot of work there. That's true.
We did a lot of work.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is my support staff and people like you and being able to encourage me. But at the same time, it all boils down to what I do and when I'm able to put forth.
You've got something inside that you're self-driven for sure.
Yeah. So when I was injured, I couldn't do anything for at least 2.5 months, and I had to do other stuff and swim and do other things and lift and be able to do things other than like anything on my right leg. But as in coming back, I would watch. There's other things that you can do, even if you're injured. There's always something that you can do, and so I would watch tapes on myself and see what I can get better. And I made sure I wasn't by myself either, because when I was by myself, then I would sulk in my sorrows, and I made sure I was around people. I don't want to be by myself either. So that's what I would do. I owned a gym called Rain Training Center. I was always coaching and always around people, and that's what I was able to do to come back out of it. Be able to learn. Do things other than anything physical, because I couldn't do it.
Right.
I would do things mentally, like meet with you, have those mental meetings, and then I would write in my journal things I needed to improve upon. I'd watch fights on UFC Fight Pass or YouTube, or be able to make myself better there, and then coach all the guys in my gym. That's what I was doing. So
you're a busy man.
I was making sure I was busy and not just sitting still, because like a shark, you just got to keep swimming. Yeah. If you don't swim, I mean, if sharks don't swim, they just die.
They die. Now, what was it like for you to fight in the Philippines for your last fight? How cool was that?
Oh, it was amazing. To be in a place where it started from my family. Mm-hmm. There's 5 generations of my family in the Philippines.
Wow.
Still. My mother comes from 6 brothers and sisters, and my dad comes from 11. So I have a lot of family there.
That's a good fan base.
Yeah. So I mean, I think my whole family took up a whole section in the Mall of Asia over there in the Philippines. But it was great. It was amazing. When I went there, people love fighting. It's the Philippines is they have a fighting culture there. And Manny Pacquiao is, he's the pioneer. So, so when I went there, it was amazing. When I got there, I met my family, and my family was just so welcoming with open arms, and it was daunting because there's the 5 generations of my family there. They call me Lolo, which means grandfather in English, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Or great uncle. I'm like, hold on, who's your mom, and who's your mom and dad, and who's their mom and dad? I'm like, wait, hold on.
Where's the connection?
Yeah, where's the connection here? There's so many of my family members, but I just felt the love there, and all the fans there. I mean, I'm Filipino, and I'm proud to be Filipino, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing. I felt the energy, and I went out. And I wanted to go out with a bang, man. So that's what I did.
And you did. So when it's all said and done, In one word, what's the number one word that describes you as an athlete?
I would have to say resilient.
Resilient. I've seen that. You've lived that.
Yeah.
As a human being, what's the number one word that describes you?
I would say perseverant.
Perseverant. Now,
Yeah.
totally different loop here. If you had one song you could listen to, only one song for the rest of your life, what song would that be?
Wow. Don't worry, be happy.
No, I like that. Good call. And now, if you're going to give a short sentence or two to the athletes and business people and anybody that wants to be a winner in life, what would you tell them to focus on?
Focus on the details. If I would have to talk about anything, I would say focus on all the little things, because the little things are the things that actually help you and are very important to be able to accomplish anything in life. So when I talk about the little things, like technically in wrestling or in MMA, I might want to do an armbar in MMA or jiu-jitsu, and if I have one thing technically wrong, then the move's not going to work. I'm not going to get the submission. Likewise, whether you're going into an interview for a job, you got your interpersonal skills have to be on point. So you got to learn how to do that as well. There's skills in being able to have eye contact and have good posture and, be confident in what you have to say. And those are the things that you have to work on and you have to practice. People say practice makes perfect, but I say perfect practice makes perfect.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't do it perfectly, you're never, ever going to be able to do it. In a competition or in a meeting or during a interpersonal interaction with somebody, you got to have those skills. And
Absolutely.
In order to be able to have those skills, you got to practice them perfectly.
Details. I like that. Perfect details. Now, one thing I really appreciate, respect, and admire about you is you're a tough guy, but you're a good man. You've got a faith that drives your life. Yet it's not. You're not always speaking the sermon. You're living the sermon. Tell me about how the faith impacts you, being in a fight combat world.
That's the one thing I have always focused on is my faith, and since I came to faith at 13 years old and I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I actually got bullied big time. I got physically bullied and got beat up and didn't know what to do. And then my friends introduced me to wrestling, and then from there I was just like, I fell in love with wrestling, and wrestling kind of got me out of it. But I went to, a lot of people don't know, I was in the choir for 8 years. I was a tenor.
Getting beat up the choir by the choir boy, getting beat up.
I was getting beat up, I beat up people when I was a choir boy. So, but I went on tours, I sang for our church, and I did that. I was part of a youth group, I was a prayer leader, and I was a leader in as a senior in our youth group and for my church, Community Bible Church in Vallejo, and that's how I grew up, and I'm thankful for that, because had I not, when I got bullied, had I not chose wrestling and chose a relationship with Jesus Christ, I probably would have walked down the wrong road. Really, really would have, and because of that, I'm living my life, and met my wife in Oklahoma, and she's from Orange County originally, and we came back here and got into a good church, and so now it's like I make sure I put God first and everything else be second. So Matthew 6:33, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. So so for me, that's how I live, and I want to be a man that leaves his legacy, and letting people know that I was a man of faith, and I put family and I put faith and my family first, and everything else is second. And so the love and respect and the trust that you give people, you're going to get back 10, 15, 20, 100-fold. And that's what I want to do, is I want to be able to treat people the way I want to be treated, and have them know that there's more to life than just fighting or wrestling or sports.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do with your life thereafter is how you're going to really impact people and leave your legacy. So,
Mark, I appreciate that. Mark Munoz, living life on his terms. Thanks for the time, brother.
thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Awesome. So, Mark, show me a technique. So, how would you take me down?
Are we talking about fighting or talking about wrestling?
We better go with fighting because I might have a little bit better chance. Not much, but wrestling, forget it. So if we're
Okay.
fighting, yeah?
So if I'm fighting you, and this is something on the street, okay? Like I want to be able to see your hands or feel your hands,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna do a technique called push hands. So right away, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close the gap and go push hands on you. So push hands means I'm gonna grab your hands here. Okay,
Yeah.
see what I did?
Yeah.
And so I can feel you wherever you go. I can feel where your hands go.
Yeah.
Okay, so now from here, I'm a wrestler, so I'm gonna take you down.
Oh.
So I feel your hands. I'm gonna push them down.
Oh,
and
geez.
boom, grab
And
a double leg.
I'm in the pool. There
Yeah,
I go.
And you're in the pool.
So
Yeah.
that's so the push hands gives you that. So I can't throw on you.
So you can't throw on me. So I come in. And if you try to move your hands, and then I feel it, and then
It's
I can
almost
take you
it
down.
gives me an Aikido feel.
Yes.
That circular kind of movement.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mark, thanks, brother.
thank you.
You're the man.
Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you.
Mark Munoz.